Picture this. You're sitting at your desk on a Tuesday afternoon, and HR sends you one of those quarterly retirement account emails. You click it open, see a number with a comma in it, maybe two commas if you've been at it long enough, and for just a second you feel okay. Like maybe you're actually doing this whole adulting thing correctly. You close the email, go back to work, and tell yourself you're on track. Here's the problem. You're probably not. And the really uncomfortable part? Your 401k has been quietly, systematically, and completely legally misleading you about what that number actually means for your retirement. Not through fraud, not through some Wall Street conspiracy, but through a combination of hidden math, psychological design, and assumptions so outdated they belong in a history museum. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, retirement systems, and why millions of hardworking Americans are going to reach age 65 with far less than they imagined. If you've ever looked at your 401k balance and wondered whether it's actually enough, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, because what I'm about to show you will completely change how you think about that number. Now, before we get into the mechanics of how this works, let me ask you something. When your 401k tells you your projected retirement balance, what assumptions is it making? Do you know? Because most people have absolutely no idea. They see a number, it looks big, and they feel reassured. That's exactly how the system is designed to work. Here's where things start getting uncomfortable. That projected balance your 401k shows you is built on assumptions that almost never reflect reality. First, it assumes you'll contribute consistently every single year until retirement. No job losses, no emergencies, no years where you had to pause contributions because life got expensive. Second, it assumes steady market returns averaging somewhere around 6 to 7% annually, which sounds reasonable until you remember that markets don't move in straight lines. They crash, they stagnate, they do things that spreadsheets can't predict. And third, it assumes the fees you're paying are either zero or irrelevant. And this is where the real betrayal begins. Let's talk about fees, because this is the part that will genuinely make your stomach drop. The average 401k charges somewhere between 1 and 1.5% in annual fees. Now I know what you're thinking. 1%? That's nothing. Nick, why are you being dramatic about 1%? And this right here is exactly the psychological trap that costs people hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetime. Here's the math that your 401k statement never shows you. If you invest $200 per month for 40 years earning 7% annually, you'd end up with roughly $525,000. Sounds solid. But if those same investments are quietly charging you 1.5% in annual fees, your actual ending balance drops to around $350,000. Same contributions, same time frame, same market performance, but a $175,000 difference. Gone. Silently extracted in tiny annual percentages that never show up as a line item on your statement. And here's the really maddening part. Most people don't even know what funds they're invested in inside their 401k. They pick something during their HR onboarding, probably whatever option was pre-selected, and they never look at it again. Meanwhile, those expense ratios are compounding in reverse, quietly eroding wealth that should be yours. But the fee problem is just the beginning. Let's talk about something called the replacement rate myth, which is probably the most dangerous assumption hiding inside your retirement projections. Financial advisors have been telling people for decades that you'll need about 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income to live comfortably in retirement. Sounds logical, right? You won't have work expenses. Your mortgage might be paid off. The kids are out of the house. Here's the problem with that logic. Healthcare costs in retirement are absolutely brutal. The average couple retiring today will spend over $300,000 on healthcare expenses during retirement. That's not including long-term care. That's just routine medical costs that Medicare doesn't fully cover. And unlike most expenses that stay relatively flat, healthcare costs inflate at roughly twice the rate of everything else. So that 70 to 80% income replacement assumption didn't account for the single largest expense category you'll face in retirement, growing faster than anything else in your budget. Add to this the fact that people are living dramatically longer than the retirement models were originally designed around. When the 401k system was created in 1978, the average life expectancy was significantly lower than it is today. The math behind how much you need to save was built for a different era with different assumptions. A retirement that lasts 30 years requires a fundamentally different saving strategy than one that lasts 15. But now here's something that nobody in the financial industry seems particularly eager to discuss. The tax situation around 401k accounts is not as straightforward as it appears. Traditional 401k contributions are made with pre-tax dollars, which feels like free money when you're young and in a high tax bracket. You get a deduction now. You defer the taxes until retirement. Simple, right? But think about this for a second. You're betting that your tax rate in retirement will be lower than your tax rate today. And for a lot of people, that bet is going to be wrong. Why? Because the government is watching an enormous wave of baby boomers begin required minimum distributions from their retirement accounts simultaneously. That's as trillions of dollars that must be withdrawn and taxed on a government-mandated schedule, whether you need the money or not. Future tax rates are genuinely unpredictable. In your 401k projections, assume you know exactly what they'll be. This is why some financial experts argue that Roth accounts, where you pay taxes now and withdraw tax-free later, might actually be more valuable than traditional 401k accounts for many people. Your 401k statement isn't showing you two versions of your retirement number, one pre-tax and one after-tax. It's just showing you the big number, the one that feels reassuring, the one that makes you close the email and go back to work. That let's talk about what I call the contribution illusion. Most people feel like they're saving aggressively for retirement when they contribute enough to get their employer match. And getting the match is absolutely the right move because it's free money. But here's the thing. The standard advice of contributing 10 to 15% of your income toward retirement was calculated assuming you started in your early 20s, maintained perfect contribution consistency, and experienced average market returns throughout. For anyone who started late, took time off, or experienced any of the normal financial disruptions that real human beings experience, that percentage is almost certainly not enough. The 401k system was never designed to be your only retirement vehicle. It was designed as a supplement to pensions that most companies no longer offer and Social Security, which faces its own long-term funding questions. But somewhere along the way, the supplement became the entire plan. And most people have no idea they're flying with one engine when they thought they had three. Here's what all of this actually means in practical terms. Your 401k balance is not your retirement number. 401k balance minus fees, minus taxes, adjusted for actual healthcare costs, recalculated for a potentially 30-year retirement, and stress-tested against the real possibility that markets won't perform exactly as projected is your retirement number. And that number is almost always smaller than what your quarterly statement implies. None of this means your 401k is useless. It absolutely isn't. The tax advantages are real. The employer match is real. The forced savings mechanism is genuinely valuable for people who struggle to save on their own. But using it as your entire retirement strategy without understanding its limitations is like using a map from 1985 to navigate a city that's been completely rebuilt. The map isn't worthless. It's just dangerously incomplete. So what do you actually do with this information? You start by finding out exactly what you're paying in fees inside your 401k and move toward the lowest cost index funds available in your plan. You diversify your retirement strategy beyond just the 401k by exploring Roth IRAs, HSAs for healthcare costs, and taxable brokerage accounts. You stop trusting the projected balance number on your statement without understanding every assumption underneath it. And most importantly, you start having honest conversations about what retirement actually costs instead of accepting the comfortable illusion that a number with 2 commas means you're going to be okay. Your future self is going to live in the reality that your current decisions create. Make sure those decisions are based on the full picture, not just the version your quarterly statement wants you to see.